Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Knights of the Alternate Table. And today, in this video, we're going to be talking about What If World War I Never Happened, Part 2. Check the iCard up at the top right hand corner if you haven't seen Part 1 yet, and then come back. Make sure to watch all the way through this video, and if you like it, why not subscribe and hit that like button, and leave a comment what you're thinking of my videos, and whether I'm terrible or not. Without further ado, what if World War I never happened? Meanwhile, Spain would still have its civil war in our timeline, even though World War I never happened, and World War I, Spain won in. But there would still be a Spanish Civil War for the same reasons in our timeline. And much like this, Franco would win with French support, much as the Russians did in last video. So, Franco would rise to power once again into Spain. This would make France and Spain natural allies as their neighbors, and though one is recovering from a civil war, they would take time and help them rebuild their country to have a strong pact in the middle of Western Europe to try and keep all of those monarchist nations out of their affairs, and so they could help make the whole world this fascist monarchism they've developed. Meanwhile, in France's search for allies, Benelux and Hungary would look up to this mighty French monarchist nation and decide to join them, as they didn't get all they wanted out of the war, especially Hungary, who lost its empire and its control over the region, and Benelux because they didn't take as much as French land as they wanted to. But who cares if you ally with yourselves, the French, now to take some German land? Germany would be paranoid and worried that France and the Benelux and Hungary would declare war on them any day. They would start trying to militarize and get their old allies, such as Britain, back. But Britain would just see Germany as a paranoid nation and wouldn't want to join in a war, even if it was declared, with Germany so paranoid, so they would only join in a defensive war. This would have to do for Germany. So, with Britain out of the alliance, another nation that has to fear this fascist uprising on their border, Portugal, would also want to join Germany and be their ally in the war. So, they would make an alliance, a pact if you would, and would decide to join forces, and if something happens, they would be sure to have each other's backs and crush Spain and France. Meanwhile, in the east, Czechoslovakia would see France as a nice neighbor, and farther east, Japan, becoming a fascist monarchism, would see France as a natural ally, and East Siberia, not wanting to be conquered by the Japanese, Russians, or the Chinese warlords, would also wish to join France, so they may stay as a country and not be crushed. Meanwhile, in the US, General Pershing would become the new president in the 1920s and would stay there for a long time, as what kept him from becoming president before was World War I. Even though it was an American victory, his troops spoke up, saying that he didn't ensure the best treatment. With only the border war being the war he was known for, he would skyrocket into popularity and start wanting to ally himself with France and Spain. The US would join France again for the glory days, such as in the American Revolution, where they were helping them defeat tyrant monarchism nations all over the world, such as the monarchist nations that crushed France in the First World War. So, they would join forces to stop any monarchist nation from ever attacking another independent republic again. Meanwhile, would be begging its eastern neighbors and Nordic countries to join in, as they won most of your independence in the First World War. Why not join them? Which the other countries would naturally respond with, yes, you won our independence, so we're gonna stay out of this war. So, be it, Germany would stand alone, with no nation wanting to join them. Meanwhile, France would make the Pyramid Pact. The Pyramid Pact being that all of the nations combine together into one strong, almighty pyramid that no other nation can topple, as each nation supports and holds the other one up in case of a war. They would all stand together if one of their nations were declared war on. So, France would be the leader, with the US and Spain in second. So, with this, Germany and its allies, mainly Italy, Portugal, and Yugoslavia, would start arming themselves, preparing to stop this fascist threat from spreading throughout the globe and ruining their perfect imperialistic society. So, with all nations preparing for war, this would make the Pyramid Pact nervous, and would start also preparing for war and getting ready for an attack by any of those countries. So, Germany, not wanting to risk a home invasion, would start the war itself, thinking it would have the support of all monarchist nations. So, it would attack the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg all at once, quickly crushing them and stopping them, though this would lose them international support, which would be horrible for the German cause of war and would help France and its allies crush the German Empire. All but Italy would think that German actions were unnecessarily and over-aggressive, so they would not join the war with Germany and would rather sit back, Britain sending supplies to France to help stop this German invasion threat, even though the monarchist nations had to line together as the fascists were rapidly going to overthrow them one by one, as Germany told them. So the war begins. The nations that would be fighting would be France, Germany, Italy, Czechoslovakia, and Hungary. Many of the nations in the Pyramid Pact would also be fighting, but would just send troops as they don't have an open front with any of these nations. So Germany would mainly try and push into France, while simultaneously trying to take out Czechoslovakia and Hungary, while Italy also pushes from the south. Czechoslovakia would be defeated quickly by the German army. Meanwhile, France would try and take back Benelux from Germany, and Italy would continue a southern campaign, though they would take heavy losses from this. France would then realize that Italy is a weak target and focus their main front there. Meanwhile, Hungary would take back Czechoslovakia from the Germans, though the Germans would hold, and Hungary armies would be sent to standstill. It would be up to the French now. The French would be successful, defeating the Italians in their peninsula, and then would start marching on Berlin, much as they stomped Rome. Meanwhile, Germany would push into Hungary and would hold there, but they would have no choice, because now France has both of their armies ready to attack Germany and is still getting help from their other allies nations. Germany would have to pull back troops from Hungary, allowing the Hungarians to push. Germany would surrender, bringing an end to what would be called the Second World War, if Germany would only have more allies. So, Germany, being surrounded on all sides, surrenders to Hungary and France, who march into Berlin and have a similar peace treaty, breaking up the Germans into Bavaria, Prussia, the Rhineland, and Schleswig and Holstein, breaking Germany.